well, you want my honest opinion. I got the meter, Joe rang me back probably a couple of weeks later, and I gave him my honest opinion, as Joe learned that I can be very honest about things. Told him the things I liked, I told him the things I really didn't like, and why. I think after that we probably didn't talk, not because we fell out, we just didn't have any reason to be in contact for a long time. I did see, I'm one of these people trying to build my professional network on LinkedIn. I'd sent a LinkedIn request and Joe had accepted it. And then it pops up X months or however long later that Joe's now head of comms at Accenture, and I'd seen that Accenture had taken over from Bayer and all these things. Okay, that's cool. And I think we first met at Diabetes UK conference in probably Liverpool, probably the next year, where, again, I'm going to the conference because I've been asked to speak. So I'm reaching out to people, can we have a meet? Do you want to catch up? Do you want to say hi? So me and Joe just sat down, had a coffee, and we're talking, and Joe's talking about his new role, about engaging with patients and advocates and just people in the community, and what my recommendations were. And I said, I'm never going to engage with anyone, any company, unless they give something back. Something back to the community. And we started talking about a campaign that's been community run for a few years then, and for many years now. I won't go into full details. Basically, Spare a Rose, it's a campaign that the community ran in February, around Valentine's Day, where people, rather than buy 12 roses, they donate a nominal rose of, say, $5, it's an American campaign, to this cause, which goes to a charity, and that provides insulin for one child for 1 month in a less advantaged country. Because, you probably know, if you don't have insulin, you've got type 1, you die. So we're helping, it is save a life for a child. That is the whole point of it. We've done it in the community, and we were restricted to, because the community, and I'll talk about it later, the community is not as big as you would think, especially online. So we were kind of hitting the buffers at about $20,000-$25,000 for this campaign, which was good. But Joe said, well, that's an easy sell. I could take that into Accenture, because we want to, I'm trying to get a lot into one thing. We want to keep the spirit of it. We don't, corporate donations, charities can go and do that. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in broadening the community. If we've hit kind of the edges of the bubble of our community, then what's next? And for me, the obvious bit was people who work in the diabetes industry. Because they probably know someone, or they've got an interest. And Joe just said, well, I can easily sell that. And we got talking, and we planned for the next February campaign, and Accenture ran with it and did a great job for us. And they have run it every year, and this year they hit an absolute, every year they beat what they do and they expand it out. So for me, that was an organisation that it was taken on board to give something back. And of course it helps build the credibility and the reputation of the community and that kind of thing, and trust, which is, I know there's always a corporate advantage, but this was done to stop kids dying that have type 1. This wasn't done for a corporate advantage. Yes, it's a bonus, and I'm okay with that. And said to Joe, I don't care, I'll put your name all over the internet, all over my profiles on this campaign, as long as you can help us with it. So, that's fine. And it was at that same February where, as Joe said, he contacted me saying, we had this idea, we're going to do Spare a Rose, it'd be great if you could be there as well. It was in Vienna, ATTD. He said, we've got this idea, we'd like to have you come along and write some blog posts in your own words to explain the content of and what's going on at this conference. Is a tech conference, right, for diabetes. So a subject people are really interested in, because new tech, new meters, or all the new advances. Do it in your own words so that we can get it out to people with diabetes in a way that they'd be interested, rather than the medical, technical data that always comes out in all the reports, which, to be honest, I can never read. I mean, if I read a research report, I get bored at the bit when it says, et al, and then everyone's name, I get fed up with that. Which we did. And it was successful. It was well received, and I think one or two of the Eastern Europeans, they're not suppliers, agencies, people that sell your meter for you, because they're out there.
We've got distributors we've got distributors in a couple of Eastern European countries. It was Croatia and Slovenia.
Right.
Yeah. And again, that they wanted it. They asked permission to translate it in their own native language. Which from my point of view, it's getting information out there for people, because I'm very lucky that I get to go to these conferences. I'm extremely privileged. It's getting out there to people that can't. It enables them to come back and interact. They could make comments. It was very one way, so there wasn't much interaction. And again, it broadened it out into more diverse communities that would not normally get that information because everything's in English. So again, for me, it ticks that box of, okay, this benefits the community in what we're doing. And moving on from that, then we talk about other things. So, how do we make this more interactive instead of just having it as a blog post, which we continue to do? Off of that came the editorial board. Off of that came the diabetes summits that we do very regularly around events, and we're broadening that out more and more. And whilst we can't do the face-to-face stuff, which is horrible, going virtual has enabled us to bring in a much more diverse part of the community in different countries, different time zones, people that would never get to go because they can't afford it, or they haven't got someone that would fund them. So we've built it over several years, and I'm just trying to give you how it's kind of an advantage to all of us. But for me, it's all about what we can give back to the community in everything we do.
Sorry. Carry on, George.
I was just going to ask Chris if you felt like that sort of outreach, that sort of approach to patient engagement is unusual in the industry or not?
I think at the time, I think it still is not as usual as I'd like it to be. There were other organisations that were doing regular ATTD, regular European summits, and they invited a lot of people in. They started off being very good. I never got to go to one, which I still talk about. In fact, the one after lots of badgering and going, why can't they never invited anyone from the UK? I don't know why. And the one year they did, they invited me, but I was doing stuff with Joe, so I told them to go. So I said no thanks. Those became, I feel, again, all this is my personal opinion, I feel they became too big and they became too commercialised. And actually, I've been to a lot of events where I go and you do stuff and you wouldn't see any outputs come out of it, and you wouldn't see any tangibles come out of it, and then you go and do it the next year, and you almost redo the same thing. And that was one thing I said to Joe when I talked about the summits. I don't want the same people in the room doing the same thing with no outputs. And Joe can talk about the episode. And so every one of we call them DSMSs, Diabetes Social Media Summits, we've done, again, luckily, around the globe, and you try to invite different people. And there have always been a continuation deliberately of what we do. And we've come out with some good output as well. I mean, Joe, you want to talk about the backup guys?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the two things I would say is that, I think it's certainly, we're not the only company that does it, but certainly you don't probably see as much of it as there should be, is this idea of actually, rather than going to an advocate like Chris and saying, this is what I want to do, can you be involved in this and can you invite all your buddies to come along? Instead, we go to Chris with a blank page and say, right, we're going to do an event at the next meeting. What is topical in the diabetes space at the moment? You tell me your thoughts, and then let's try and come up with a shared purpose. What are the things that are important to you as a community, and what are the things that are important to us as a company, and where can we work together? And that's kind of, I think, the basis that makes it successful, or certainly makes it for folks like Chris something they want to be involved in. I mean, I will tell you now, we have, for our events, we've not paid anyone to attend. Granted, there are ways in which you can pay people to attend, and that is completely allowed, and you would contract with them and you'd have them. But none of our events we paid anyone to come, and we have people who are very keen to spend 3 or 4 hours there because the topic is something that interests them, it's something they want to be involved in. And as Chris says, there's a tangible output at the end, so we're looking at it and saying, okay, you've brought up a particular topic that you think is important, and we think it's important too. How could we do something and work together to raise the awareness of that topic, or address some of the concerns that you see? And I think it's that bit that's different, that shared purpose, that sort of symbiotic relationship, and understanding what the community want is what hopefully sets it apart and makes it a bit different.
Yeah, and just add to that, we've never done anything product-based.